Dr. Hana Kim stood in her laboratory aboard Station Thalvara, reviewing the data on her screen for the 100th time. The numbers never lied. In 30 years of research across 247 alien species, the conclusion remained the same. Pain, as humans described it, did not exist anywhere else in the known galaxy. She was Valeric, a species known for their analytical minds and emotional distance. Her silver skin reflected the blue light of the monitors around her. 4 arms moved efficiently across different keyboards, compiling her latest report. The galactic scientific community had already accepted her work as fact. Her book sat on every medical station from here to the outer reaches. The myth of universal suffering had won her 3 prestigious awards and permanent tenure at the Institute. The evidence was clear. Other species felt pressure. They registered damage. Their bodies sent signals when something was wrong. But the subjective experience of pain, the emotional suffering that humans claim to endure, simply did not exist in alien biology. Hana had tested this theory thousands of times. She had examined neural pathways, studied biochemical responses, and interviewed countless species about their experiences with injury. Humans were the anomaly, the strange exception, the dramatic outliers who claimed that a simple cut felt like agony, that broken bones created unbearable sensations, that certain injuries made them wish for death itself. Hana had always found it theatrical. Humans evolved on a relatively safe planet, she reasoned. Perhaps they never developed proper emotional regulation. Perhaps their pain was psychological rather than physical. The comm system on her desk chimed. Hana's primary hand reached out to answer it. "Dr. Kim, we have an emergency." The voice belonged to Station Commander Tarek, a Helvian administrator. "Human vessel crashed near Sector 7, 1 survivor being transported to Medical Bay. We need your expertise." Hana felt a flutter of interest. She had only examined 3 live humans in her entire career. Most of her research came from records and remote consultations. "I will be there immediately." She arrived at the medical bay within minutes. The facility was chaos. Medical staff rushed between stations. Equipment beeped and flashed. In the center of it all, on a hovering stretcher, lay a human male. Hana approached slowly, studying him with professional interest. He appeared to be in his late 20s by human standards. Dark hair, tan skin, athletic build. His uniform identified him as military. The name patch read, Park J. But what caught her attention were his injuries. His left leg bent at an unnatural angle. Blood seeped through his uniform in several places. His breathing came in short, sharp gasps, and the sounds he made, low moans and occasional cries, filled the room with noise. "Human physiology is so inefficient," Hana murmured to her assistant, a young Valeric named Kira. "Look at how much energy he wastes on these vocalizations." The human's eyes snapped open. Despite his condition, his gaze found Hana and locked onto her face. "Help," he whispered. "Please. It hurts so much." Hana moved closer, her scanner already in hand. "I am Dr. Kim. I specialize in human biology. We will treat your injuries." "The pain," the human gasped. His name, she noted from his file, was Junho Park, Corporal Junho Park. "Can't think, can't breathe. Please, something for the pain." "We will address your injuries systematically," Hana said calmly. She ran her scanner over his body, cataloging the damage. Fractured femur, 3 broken ribs, internal bleeding in the abdominal cavity, severe lacerations on the right arm, concussion. "Your wounds are significant but not immediately fatal." "Not fatal?" Junho's voice rose. "I feel like I'm dying. I feel like something's ripping me apart from the inside." Hana made a note on her datapad. Classic human exaggeration. The injuries were painful, certainly by human standards. But his vital signs indicated stable consciousness and no immediate organ failure. Many species with similar injuries would be calmly discussing treatment options by now. "We will begin surgery within the hour," she informed him. "The anesthetic protocols for humans are complex, but we have the necessary equipment." "An hour?" Junho's hand, shaking badly, reached out toward her. I can't wait an hour like this. Please, please, I'm begging you. Hana observed his elevated heart rate, the sweat covering his skin, the trembling in his limbs. Textbook stress response. Humans really were remarkably emotional creatures. Corporal Park, I understand you are experiencing discomfort. However, we must prepare properly for surgery. Your species requires specific chemical compounds that take time to synthesize. Discomfort? Something flickered in Junho's eyes. Through the haze of his condition, he seemed to focus on her with sudden clarity. You think this is just discomfort? I have studied human neurology extensively, Hana replied. I am aware that your species has a lower threshold for distress signals than most. This is normal for you. Junho stared at her for a long moment. Then he laughed, a broken, bitter sound. You don't believe it's real, you think we're faking it. I did not say that. You don't have to. Junho closed his eyes. I've seen that look before. From alien doctors, from station personnel. You all think we're being dramatic, that we're weak or lying or exaggerating. He opened his eyes again, and despite everything, despite the injuries that should have consumed his attention, he looked directly at her. You don't believe me, do you? Hana felt uncomfortable under his gaze. It was rare for a research subject to be so direct. I believe you are experiencing what your neurology interprets as pain. However, my research indicates that human pain response is disproportionate to actual tissue damage when compared to other species. Disproportionate, Junho repeated softly. That's a nice word for it. He took a shuddering breath. What if you're wrong? What if every moment I'm lying here, I'm in more pain than you've ever felt in your entire life? What if this isn't exaggeration? What if this is just what it's like to be human? Hana did not answer. She had spent 3 decades proving that exact scenario was impossible. The data supported her conclusions. The science was sound. Humans were unique, yes, but their uniqueness lay in their psychological response to damage, not in any fundamental difference in suffering. Prepare him for surgery, she told her team. Standard protocols. As she walked away to scrub for the procedure, she heard Junho whisper something. She almost did not catch it, but her Veloric hearing was sharp. She doesn't believe me. None of them ever believe us. Hana pushed the words from her mind. She had work to do. Science did not care about feelings or beliefs. It cared about evidence, data, and reproducible results. And all her evidence said the same thing. Humans did not feel pain the way they claimed. It was simply impossible. She had proven it. The galaxy accepted it. This was truth. She had no reason to doubt it now. 3 days passed and Junho's condition grew worse. The internal bleeding had stopped, but the broken bones required surgery that the medical team kept delaying. Hana reviewed his case files each morning, noting the complications. Human biology was frustratingly delicate compared to most species. She found him awake during her rounds, staring at the ceiling of the recovery ward. His face looked gray and drawn. The medical monitors showed elevated stress hormones, irregular sleep patterns, and elevated blood pressure, all consistent with extended discomfort. Good morning, Corporal Park, Hana said, approaching his bed. We need to discuss your surgery. Junho did not look at her. Let me guess. You want to use minimal anesthetic again? The surgery is complex. We need to insert stabilization rods into your femur and repair the damage to your ribs. Your standard protocols, Junho interrupted, finally turning his head toward her. Assume that I'm exaggerating, that I can handle more pain than I'm letting on. Hana felt a ripple of irritation. My protocols are based on 30 years of research. Research on species that don't feel pain like we do. Junho's voice was quiet but steady. Tell me something, doctor. Have you ever broken a bone? Veloric bones are much stronger than human bones. We rarely fracture. That's not what I asked. Hana paused. No, I have not. Have you ever been seriously injured at all? I experienced a deep laceration once during field research. It required sealing but was not particularly distressing. Junho nodded slowly. So you've never felt what I'm feeling right now. You've never experienced a broken bone grinding against itself every time you breathe. You've never had ribs that stab into your lungs with every movement, but you're certain you know what it feels like. I have access to comprehensive neural scans and biochemical data from thousands of humans. Data, Junho said, not experience. Before Hana could respond, the door to the ward opened. A tall human male entered, wearing the uniform of a diplomatic officer. Hana recognized him from station records as Commander Minho Choi, the human liaison to the Galactic Council. Dr. Kim, Minho said, his voice formal but strained. I need to speak with you about Corporal Park's treatment. They moved to a private consultation room. Minho closed the door and turned to face her. I've reviewed the medical logs. You've been using minimal pain management for the past 3 days. The protocols are standard for his level of injury. Standard for aliens, Minho said, not for humans. Doctor, I know about your research. I've read your book. But I'm telling you directly that your conclusions are wrong. Hana felt her composure waver. Commander, with respect, the evidence is that you've never actually felt what we feel. Minho stepped closer. You theorize, you analyze, but you don't know. And because you don't know, you're letting that man suffer needlessly. I am following established medical practices. Established practices that were created based on your flawed research. Minho's hands clenched into fists. Do you know how many humans have died in galactic medical facilities because doctors thought we were exaggerating? Do you know how many of us have been denied proper care because aliens think we're being dramatic? Hana felt something unfamiliar. Doubt. She pushed it away. If you are dissatisfied with the treatment, you may file a formal complaint. I'm not filing a complaint. Minho moved to the door. I'm ordering you to use full human anesthetic protocols, or I'm removing Corporal Park from your care entirely. After he left, Hana sat alone in the consultation room for a long time. She had never been challenged so directly. Her research had always been accepted, praised, celebrated. The idea that it might be wrong, fundamentally wrong, was impossible to process. She returned to Junho's ward that evening. He was awake as always. The medical staff told her he barely slept more than an hour at a time. Another sign of human inefficiency, she had noted, but now she wondered if perhaps he could not sleep because of something she was missing. Corporal Park, she said quietly. Commander Choi has demanded changes to your treatment protocol. Good, Junho said. Maybe I'll actually get some relief. Before we proceed, I would like to propose something. Hana moved closer to his bed. I have access to a Valeric neural bridge. It is a device that allows temporary sensory sharing between two individuals. Junho's eyes narrowed. Why? Because I am a scientist. And you have challenged my research. Hana met his gaze directly. You claim that human pain is beyond what I comprehend. I want to test that claim empirically. You want to feel what I'm feeling? For 60 seconds. A brief connection that would allow me to experience your sensory input directly. Junho stared at her. Then slowly he began to smile. It was not a kind smile. You think you'll prove yourself right. You think you'll feel a little discomfort and then you can go back to your research with a clear conscience. I think, Hana said carefully. That direct evidence is better than theoretical models. All right, Junho said. Let's do it. But doctor, 60 seconds is going to feel like a lifetime. Hana retrieved the neural bridge from her laboratory. It was a simple device, 2 bands connected by a thin cord. She placed one around her head and the other around Junho's. The technology was Valeric, designed for sharing memories and experiences. It was perfectly safe. Are you ready? She asked. Are you? Junho replied. Hana activated the device. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the connection established and the world disappeared. Pain hit her like a physical force. It was not sensation. It was not discomfort. It was drowning in fire while being crushed under immense weight, while electricity coursed through every nerve. Her legs screamed with agony that had no words. Each breath sent knives through her chest. Her head pounded with pressure that felt like it would split her skull open. And beneath it all, constant and unrelenting, was the bone-deep ache that came from lying still for days while fractured bones tried to heal. Every muscle hurt from tension. Every joint throbbed from immobility. Even her skin felt raw and oversensitive. Hana tried to think, tried to analyze what she was feeling, but there was no room for thought. The pain consumed everything. It was not background noise. It was not something to be acknowledged and dismissed. It was the only reality that existed. She could not breathe. She could not move. She could not escape. This was what Junho had been experiencing for 3 days. Every second of every minute of every hour. This impossible, incomprehensible torture that made dying seem like a relief. Hana ripped the band from her head. The connection broke. She fell to her knees beside the bed, gasping for air that suddenly felt sweet and clear. Her body, uninjured and whole, felt like a miracle. The absence of pain was so profound that she wanted to weep. 15 seconds, Junho said quietly from the bed. You lasted 15 seconds, doctor. I've been in this for 72 hours. Hana could not speak. Her hands shook. Her mind struggled to process what she had experienced. It was impossible. It was unbearable. It was real. Now you know, Junho continued. His voice was gentle, almost kind. We're not exaggerating. We're not being dramatic. This is just what it's like. Every injury, every illness, every wound. We feel all of it. And we just have to survive it. Hana looked up at him. This human who had been lying here for days, enduring something that had shattered her in 15 seconds. He was not screaming. He was not begging. He was simply existing moment by moment through an experience that would have broken her mind. I will change your protocols immediately, she whispered. I will give you everything we have for pain management. Thank you, Junho said simply. As Hana left the ward, her legs still unsteady, her mind still reeling, she realized that her entire life's work had just been destroyed by 15 seconds of truth. Hana did not sleep that night. She sat in her laboratory surrounded by 3 decades of research and slowly, methodically, began tearing it all apart. The neural bridge experience had lasted only 15 seconds, but it had changed everything. She could still remember the sensation, the all-consuming nature of what Junho endured every moment. Her scientific mind, trained to observe and analyze, had been completely overwhelmed by the raw intensity of human pain. She pulled up her earliest research files, studies from her first year at the Institute. She had been so confident then, so certain of her conclusions. She examined the data from Thalesian subjects who had reported feeling damage, but showed minimal stress responses. She had concluded that pain was minimal for them, but now with new perspective she saw what she had missed. The Thalesians had biological dampeners, automatic neural suppressors that filtered pain signals before they reached conscious awareness. They felt damage, yes, but their brains never fully processed the sensation. It was like hearing music through thick walls. You knew it was there, but it never overwhelmed you. She moved to the next species. Corvidians. They had reported injuries as uncomfortable and requiring attention. She had marked this as proof that true suffering was uniquely human. But the Corvidian neural structure showed something she had dismissed before. Chemical releases during trauma that induced calm states. Their bodies drugged them automatically when injured. Species after species, the pattern repeated. Each one had some mechanism that humans lacked. Neural filters, chemical suppressors, redundant nerve pathways that distributed signals, psychological adaptations that created emotional distance from physical sensations. Humans had none of this. Every pain signal reached their brain at full intensity. Every injury was experienced completely and consciously. They had no biological mercy, no automatic relief, just raw sensation, unfiltered and unrelenting. How did I miss this? Hana whispered to the empty laboratory. But she knew how. She had started with a conclusion and found evidence to support it. She had seen what she expected to see. She had committed the most basic scientific error. And no one had questioned her because her conclusion was comfortable for the galactic community. If humans felt pain more intensely than everyone else, then they were either fragile victims to be pitied or impossible warriors to be feared. Neither option was comfortable. So the galaxy had accepted her theory that humans were simply dramatic. It was easier that way. Her computer chimed. A message from Commander Minho. Dr. Kim, I need to speak with you urgently. My office when you are available. Hana arrived at his office an hour later. The human commander looked tired, but his expression was friendly. Thank you for coming, Doctor. I heard about what you did yesterday, using the neural bridge. I made a mistake, Hana said quietly. A massive, fundamental mistake that has affected medical care for humans across the galaxy. Minho nodded slowly. I know, I've read your work. Many humans have. We've been trying to tell people for years that your conclusions were wrong, but no one listens to us. We're the ones who supposedly exaggerate, so our testimony doesn't count. I want to publish a retraction, a complete revision of my research. That's why I called you here. Minho opened a file on his desk screen. Before you do that, you need to see this. These are classified records from first contact between humans and the Galactic Council. 70 years ago. Hana leaned forward, reading quickly. Her eyes widened. They knew. The first medical teams who examined humans documented the pain response accurately. They understood that humans experienced pain differently. Keep reading, Minho said. She scrolled down, found the council decision. They suppressed it. They classified the information and ordered all medical personnel to treat human pain as psychological, rather than physical. Do you understand why? Minho asked. Think about what it means if the galaxy knows the truth. Human soldiers who fight through injuries that would incapacitate any other species. Human workers who endure conditions that others would find impossible. We become either a military threat or an economic resource to be exploited. Hana felt cold. So they convinced everyone, including me, that human pain was exaggerated. They made it seem like you were the problem, not that the rest of us had biological advantages you lack. Exactly. Minho closed the file. And now you want to publish a retraction. Do you understand what that means? The people who suppressed this information are still in power. They won't let you destroy 70 years of careful narrative control. I have to try. I cannot let my research continue to harm humans. Minho studied her for a long moment. You really mean that? You're willing to sacrifice your career, your reputation, everything you've built to tell the truth. I experienced 15 seconds of what Corporal Park has endured for days. How can I do anything else? Then we need to be smart about this. Minho pulled up a calendar. The Galactic Medical Conference is in 2 weeks. Thousands of xenobiologists from across known space. If you present your findings there publicly, they can't suppress it easily. They will try to stop me before then. Probably. Which is why we need to move carefully. Minho stood. I'll help you. So will other humans in the diplomatic corps. But doctor, once you start this, there's no going back. You'll make powerful enemies. I already have powerful enemies, Hana said. Anyone who suffers from medical care based on my flawed research. I would rather have those people as allies and face the consequences. Over the next week, Hana worked in secret. She compiled new analysis of her old data, showing where she had made errors. She gathered testimony from human patients who had been denied proper care. She built a comprehensive case that her original research was fundamentally flawed. She also spent time with Junho. His surgery had been successful, finally performed with proper anesthesia and pain management. He was recovering well, though he still had weeks of healing ahead. How did you do it? Hana asked him one afternoon. You were injured for 3 days before I changed the protocols. How did you stay sane? Junho looked out the window at the stars beyond the station. You just do. Because the alternative is giving up, and humans don't give up easily. We've evolved to survive pain, to push through it, to keep going even when our bodies are screaming at us to stop. That is not evolution, Hana said. That is torture. Maybe, but it's also strength. Junho turned to look at her. Doctor, I've been thinking about what you're planning to do. Going public with your new findings. They'll destroy you for it. I know. Why do it then? You could quietly revise your research, update medical protocols gradually. No one would have to know you were wrong. Hana was quiet for a moment. Then she held up her hand, looking at the silver skin. When I connected with you through the neural bridge, I felt something besides pain. I felt your determination to endure it. Your refusal to let it break you. Your humanity. She lowered her hand. I have spent my life studying other species, but I never truly understood them. Not until I experienced what you experience. Now I cannot unknow this truth, and I cannot let others continue in ignorance when that ignorance causes suffering. Junho smiled. You know, Doctor, you might be more human than you think. 2 days before the conference, Hana's research files were deleted from the station database. All of them. 30 years of work gone. She had expected this. She had backups hidden in 3 separate locations, including one in Commander Minho's personal storage. The next day, she was summoned to the station administrator's office. She was informed that her credentials were under review, that questions had been raised about her emotional stability following the neural bridge experiment, that she was being placed on mandatory leave pending an investigation. I understand, Hana said calmly. However, I have already registered to present at the medical conference in 2 days. Will I be prevented from attending? The administrator, a Vexian official named Tars, looked uncomfortable. That would be irregular. However, we strongly advise that you reconsider your presentation topic. I will consider your advice, Hana said, which was not the same as agreeing to follow it. That evening, Commander Minho came to her quarters. They're going to try to deport Junho before the conference. Send him back to Earth where his testimony can't support your findings. Can you stop them? I'm trying. But doctor, even if you present at the conference, they'll claim you're emotionally compromised, that the neural bridge damaged your judgment. You need more than just your word. Hana nodded. She had thought of this. Then I will need volunteers. Humans willing to share their experiences publicly, and aliens willing to use the neural bridge to feel what I felt. That's a big ask. I know. But it is the only way to make them understand. Data can be dismissed. Personal experience cannot. Minho was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. I'll help you find volunteers. Both human and alien. And doctor, thank you for being willing to admit you were wrong. That takes a kind of courage most scientists don't have. As he left, Hana sat alone in her quarters and thought about courage. She had always believed courage meant standing by your convictions. But maybe true courage meant being willing to abandon your convictions when you discovered they were built on lies. The morning of the conference, Hana woke to find security officers outside her quarters. They informed her that she was not permitted to leave the station residential area. The official reason was concerns about her mental stability following experimental neural procedures. She contacted Commander Minho immediately. They have confined me to quarters. I cannot reach the conference hall. I expected this, Minho said. His image on the screen looked grim, but we planned for it. I'm sending someone to you now, someone who can help. 20 minutes later, a woman appeared at Hana's door. She was human, small and compact, with sharp eyes and graying hair. Dr. Kim? I'm Daeun Lim, Special Investigator for the Galactic Human Rights Commission. Commander Choi asked me to speak with you. The security officers tried to stop Daeun from entering, but she showed them credentials that made them step back quickly. Once inside, Daeun swept the room with a small device, checking for surveillance. They've been monitoring you for the past week. I assumed as much. Good. Paranoia is appropriate here. Daeun found 3 listening devices and disabled them efficiently. Now we can talk freely. Dr. Kim, you've stumbled into something bigger than incorrect medical research. You've exposed a 70-year conspiracy to suppress information about human pain response. Commander Choi showed me the first contact files. Those are only part of it. Daeun sat down, pulling up files on her portable screen. There are pharmaceutical companies that have built empires on pain management systems that don't work properly for humans. Military contractors who profit from training regimens that would be considered torture if people knew how much pain humans actually experience. Insurance corporations that deny human claims by citing your research. Hana felt sick. My work has been weaponized, extensively, and the people profiting from it are the same ones who have you confined to quarters right now. Daeun leaned forward. They will not let you speak at this conference. Even if you somehow reach the hall, they will discredit you, silence you, or simply prevent you from taking the stage. Then what can I do? We change the strategy. You don't need to be physically present to present findings. Daeun smiled. We broadcast remotely. I have contacts in the conference technical staff. If we can get your presentation loaded into their system, we can override whatever speaker is scheduled and put you on every screen in that hall. That would be illegal. Extremely illegal. It would also be effective. Daeun stood. But I need your permission. This is your research, your reputation, your choice. Hana thought about Junho, enduring days of agony because medical staff did not believe his pain was real. She thought about all the humans across the galaxy receiving inadequate care because of her mistakes. She thought about the 15 seconds she had experienced through the neural bridge, and the strength it took for humans to survive that every day. Do it, she said. The next hours passed in a blur of preparation. Daeun brought in technical equipment, bypassing station security with the ease of someone who had done this before. Hana recorded her presentation, explaining her research, her mistakes, and her new findings. She included neural scans, comparative data, and testimony from human patients. Then Junho insisted on being brought to her quarters, despite his injuries. If you're doing this, I'm part of it. Let them see what it looks like when a human speaks truth while dealing with pain. You should be resting. I've been resting for weeks. Right now, I need to do this. Junho positioned himself next to Hana. His leg was still in a stabilization brace, his movements careful and controlled. Record again. This time with me. The new recording was more powerful. Hana presented the science while Junho provided the human perspective. He spoke calmly about his injuries, about the 3 days before proper treatment, about what it felt like to know that the people caring for you did not believe your suffering was real. I have been wounded 7 times in my military service, Junho said to the camera. Each time I was told I was exaggerating. Each time alien medical staff treated me with skepticism. I have endured pain that would have killed most species. Not because I am stronger, but because I have no choice. Human bodies do not have the automatic relief systems that others take for granted. We feel everything, and we simply learn to survive it. As they finished recording, alarms began sounding throughout the station. Daeun checked her communication device. They're trying to shut down all external broadcasts. Someone must have realized what we're planning. Can you still send the transmission? If we move fast, yes. But they'll trace it back here immediately. You'll both be arrested. Hana looked at Junho. He nodded. Do it. Daeun worked quickly, her fingers flying across multiple keyboards. The conference started 10 minutes ago. Opening remarks are happening now. In 30 seconds, every screen in that hall is going to show your faces instead. Outside the quarters, Hana could hear running footsteps. Shouted orders. The security officers were being reinforced. Someone was coming to stop them. 20 seconds, Daeun said. The door to the quarters began to override. Someone with high-level access was forcing it open. 10 seconds. The door opened. Station Administrator Tars entered, flanked by 6 armed security personnel. Stop this immediately. You are violating transmission sent, Daeun said calmly. Too late to stop it now. Tars's face went pale. He rushed to the screen, watching as Hana's recorded image appeared. Do you understand what you have done? The chaos this will cause? I understand that I have told the truth, Hana said. Something that should have been done 70 years ago. On the screen, her recorded presentation played for thousands of alien scientists. She watched her own image systematically dismantle 30 years of her own research. She saw Junho describe the reality of human pain. She saw data, neural scans, suppressed reports from first contact, and then came the demonstration she and Commander Minho had arranged. 5 volunteer xenobiologists representing 5 different species, using neural bridges to connect with human volunteers. The reactions were identical to Hana's. Shock, horror, the immediate severing of connections, and then the slow, dawning understanding on their faces. The conference hall, shown in a live feed in the corner of the screen, had gone completely silent. Thousands of the galaxy's leading medical experts watched as their fundamental assumptions about human biology were proven wrong in real time. You have destroyed your career, Tars said quietly. Not just yours. Everyone who helped you. Commander Choi, Investigator Lim, all of you will face consequences. Perhaps, Hana said. But the truth is now public. You cannot suppress it anymore. Every scientist in that hall has witnessed the evidence. They cannot unknow what they have learned. Tars turned to leave, then paused at the door. The pharmaceutical companies, the military contractors, the insurance corporations, they will fight this with everything they have. You have made powerful enemies, Dr. Kim. I have also made billions of human allies, Hana replied, and I have made allies of everyone who believes that medical care should be based on truth rather than convenient lies. After Tars left, taking the security officers with him, Daeun turned off her equipment. Well, that's done. Now comes the hard part. What happens next? Crunyo asked. Investigation. Probably criminal charges for the unauthorized broadcast. Definitely the end of Dr. Kim's position at the Institute. Daeun looked at them both, but also probably the beginning of real change. You cannot show thousands of scientists undeniable evidence and expect nothing to happen. Hana's communication device began chiming. Messages poured in. Some were angry, calling her a traitor to science, but others were supportive. Xenobiologists questioning their own assumptions. Medical staff requesting new human treatment protocols. Human patients thanking her for finally being heard. And one message from an address she did not recognize. She opened it carefully. Dr. Kim, thank you for your courage. You have given voice to millions who have suffered in silence. We will not let your sacrifice be in vain. Signed, the Galactic Human Medical Advocacy Network. I did not know such an organization existed, Hana said. It did not, until about an hour ago. Daeun replied with a slight smile. But I suspect it will grow very quickly now. Junho reached over and took Hana's hand. The gesture surprised her. Physical contact between species was uncommon. You gave up everything for us. For people you barely know, whose pain you only understood for 15 seconds. 15 seconds was enough, Hana said softly. I wish I had understood sooner. I wish I could undo the harm my research has caused. But all I can do now is try to make things better going forward. That's all any of us can do, Junho said. Outside the window, Station Thalvara continued its orbit around the distant star. Inside, 3 individuals who had changed the course of galactic medical history sat together, waiting to see what consequences their truth would bring. The conference was still ongoing, and across the galaxy the conversation about human pain had finally, truly begun. 6 months had passed since the conference broadcast. Hana sat in a small office that bore no resemblance to her former laboratory at the Institute. The walls were plain white. The equipment was basic, but the work happening here was changing the galaxy. The sign outside read, Institute for Xenological Pain Research. It was funded by the Galactic Human Medical Advocacy Network, which had grown from a hastily formed response group into a major organization representing human medical rights across known space. Hana was the director. She had not wanted the position, but as Junho had pointed out, she was the only alien scientist most humans trusted to get it right this time. Her assistant entered, a young human woman named Yuna, Dr. Kim. The council representatives are here for the review meeting. Hana stood smoothing her robes. The past 6 months had been difficult. She had faced criminal charges for the unauthorized broadcast, though those had been dropped after massive public pressure. Her credentials had been suspended, then reinstated after a review board found that her new research was scientifically sound. The pharmaceutical companies had sued her for defamation. She had won that case 3 weeks ago, but the hardest part had been facing the humans she had harmed. She had spent weeks reading messages from people who had suffered under medical care based on her flawed research, people who had been denied pain medication, people who had been dismissed as dramatic or attention-seeking, people who had died because doctors did not believe their pain was real. She could not undo that harm, but she could try to prevent it from happening again. The council representatives waited in the conference room. 5 officials from different species, sent to review the new medical protocols that Hana's institute had developed. These protocols were already being implemented in some facilities with remarkable results. Human patient satisfaction had increased dramatically. Recovery times had improved. And perhaps most importantly, humans were finally being heard. Dr. Kim, said the lead representative, a Corvidian named Kess. We have reviewed your proposed universal medical standards for human care. They are quite comprehensive. Thank you. My team has worked extensively with human medical professionals and patients to develop them. The cost of implementing these standards galaxy-wide will be substantial, another representative noted. New equipment, new training, new medication protocols. The cost of not implementing them has already been substantial, Hana replied quietly. In human suffering, in preventable deaths, and in the erosion of trust between humans and the medical community. Kess nodded slowly. We are prepared to recommend these standards to the full council. However, there is resistance from some sectors. Pharmaceutical companies argue that the new pain management requirements are excessive. Some military contractors claim that proper pain care will reduce human effectiveness in combat roles. Then they do not understand humans at all, said a voice from the doorway. Junho entered, walking with only a slight limp now. His injuries had healed well once proper care was provided. May I speak? Kess gestured for him to continue. Junho moved to stand beside Hana. I have been a soldier for 8 years. I have fought in 3 major conflicts, and I have been wounded 7 times. Every single time I received inadequate pain management because medical staff thought I was exaggerating. Do you know what that does to a soldier? It does not make us tougher. It makes us slower to seek treatment. It makes us hide injuries until they become critical. It makes us die from wounds that should have been survivable. He paused, letting his words sink in. Proper pain management does not make humans weaker. It makes us more effective because we can focus on our duties instead of just trying to survive the agony. It makes us more reliable because we trust the medical system to care for us properly. Any military contractor who argues otherwise is more interested in exploitation than effectiveness. The representatives exchanged glances. Finally, Kess spoke. The council will vote on the new standards in 2 weeks. Dr. Kim, Corporal Park, thank you for your testimony. We will recommend approval. After they left, Hana turned to Junho. You did not need to come. I know speaking about your experiences is difficult. Someone needs to remind them that we are talking about real people, not just statistics. Junho smiled. Besides, I wanted to see the place. This institute that rose from the ashes of your old research. They walked through the facility together. The institute was small but growing. It housed a dozen researchers now, both human and alien, all working to better understand pain across different species. The neural bridge room had been expanded, with strict ethical protocols for its use. Volunteers could experience human pain for brief moments, enough to understand, not enough to harm. I never thanked you properly, Hana said as they stood in the main laboratory. For agreeing to the neural bridge that first time. For trusting me when you had no reason to. I did not trust you, Junho said honestly. I thought you would feel what I felt and still convince yourself it was not that bad. Humans are used to not being believed. But you surprised me. You felt 15 seconds of truth and you changed everything because of it. 15 seconds, Hana repeated. It seems like such a small thing now, but it changed my entire understanding of the universe. That's how truth works sometimes. One moment of real understanding can overturn years of false assumptions. A message appeared on Hana's communication device. She read it quickly, then smiled. The medical station on Proxima 7 has fully implemented the new protocols. They report that human patient outcomes have improved by 40%. One station at a time, Junho said. One doctor at a time. Eventually, every human in the galaxy will receive proper care. I hope I live to see that day. You will. Valerics live long lives. You will see the full results of what you started. They continued their walk, eventually reaching the memorial wall that Hana had commissioned. It was made of simple metal, inscribed with thousands of names. Humans who had died in galactic medical facilities due to inadequate care. Humans whose pain had not been believed. Humans who had suffered because of medical protocols based on flawed research. Many of those protocols had been based on Hana's work. She came to this wall every morning. She read the names. She remembered why her work mattered. You cannot save them, Junho said softly. They are gone, I know. But I can remember them, and I can work to ensure no more names are added to this wall. A young human child ran past them, chasing a hovering toy. Her mother followed, laughing. The woman saw Hana and stopped. Dr. Kim, I wanted to thank you. My daughter was sick last month. Really sick. And the doctors, they actually listened. They treated her pain properly. She's alive because of the work you do. After they left, Hana felt something she had not felt in months. Peace. The weight of her mistakes would always remain, but she was doing something to balance the scales. Come on, Junho said. I want to show you something. They took a transport to another section of the station. Junho led her to a training facility where a group of young aliens were learning to use the neural bridge under supervised conditions. They were medical students, volunteers who wanted to understand human pain before treating human patients. Hana watched as a Thalesian student connected with a human volunteer. The experience lasted 10 seconds. When it ended, the student sat in silence for a long moment, then spoke. I will never forget this. I will never dismiss human pain again. This is your legacy now, Junho said. Not the old research that was wrong. This, teaching the next generation of medical professionals to understand and believe their human patients. Commander Minho joined them, looking pleased. The council vote is going to pass. I have been counting votes all week. The new standards will become mandatory within the year. So quickly? Hana was surprised. The evidence is undeniable now, and the public pressure is enormous. Every human in the galaxy has been sharing their medical horror stories. The council cannot ignore it anymore. Minho pulled up a newsfeed. Look at this. 17 medical stations have already voluntarily adopted the new protocols. 40 more have committed to implementation within 6 months. The change is happening, Dr. Kim. The truth is spreading faster than the lies ever did. That evening, Hana stood alone on an observation deck, looking out at the stars. 6 months ago, She had been a celebrated scientist with a perfect reputation in research that was fundamentally wrong. Now she was controversial, distrusted by many in the scientific establishment and working in a small institute with limited resources. But her work was saving lives. Her research was based on truth rather than comfortable assumptions, and humans across the galaxy were finally being heard. "Dr. Kim?" A voice interrupted her thoughts. She turned to see a group of humans standing behind her. Young and old, civilian and military, from different Earth cultures and different colony worlds. "We wanted to thank you. All of us have family members who suffered under the old medical protocols. What you did, speaking the truth even when it cost you everything, it means more than you can know." One man stepped forward. He was older, with scars visible on his arms. "My son died in a medical facility 15 years ago. He had internal injuries from an accident. The doctors thought he was exaggerating his pain. They waited too long to operate.